All right, good evening, class. This is your professor, Dr. Jason. First, let me just say happy Halloween. I hope that all of you are going to be safe with your families this Halloween. Please don't do anything that a sane person wouldn't do. I wouldn't say please don't do anything I wouldn't do because I am not going to be going out at all. I am going to spend my Halloween recording videos and reading and grading because that's what brings me joy. And those things are also kind of scary. So, yeah, I think it's only fitting that I spend my Halloween doing those things. Family is texting. Let me pause. I'm sorry this is so sloppy, but you know the deal. Okay, sorry about that. So, yes, please enjoy Halloween. Please be safe during Halloween. As far as assignments that I have graded so far so good. Hopefully, I will be getting the other assignments to you all this weekend. And as far as the timelines that you will be turning in for me, well, if you have questions, please ask. But given what I've seen so far, I'm very confident in the skills of most of you. And so I do think that you are probably on the right tracks with your timelines. No, the instructions for citing with the timelines are a little different. So I'm not going to be as rigorous with timeline citation as I was with the annotated bibliography or as I was with or am still with the literature review. So, please don't have any worries about that. I'm not even sure at this point that I'm going to really deduct any points from the timeline thing again, and I apologize for this, but you guys are kind of like guinea pigs for me right now. So I'm taking note of what does and doesn't work throughout the semester, and yes, that's going to improve things with future semesters, but I know it may seem a little bit difficult for you all. So I have gotten some questions about the citation. The citation will be great if it's there. If it's not, I'm probably not really going to be adamant in taking off for that, for the timelines. But yes, still get in the habit of trying to include citation and bibliography in most of your graduate work. So thank you for those questions, and the assignment is due on November 1st. However, if you have questions on November the 1st, I'll try to make sure that I'm monitoring the Canvas and my email very closely and that I can respond to those questions on that day. I don't believe I have anything else going on that requires me to be out of the office. My speech that I delivered locally yesterday or Tuesday, because I don't know when you're going to see this video, but that speech went okay. I was putting a lot of effort into getting that organized, and so I'm glad to have that little monkey off my back. And I don't think I am going to be speaking or presenting anymore this semester, which is good for me because I am trying to concentrate on getting these two classes taught and wrapped up. So without further ado, I, of course, localized the content a little bit for this class. So there are a few things. Again, our subject this week is about different types of libraries and that sort of thing. And so there are two items that I want to share with y'all for this week's lecture in reference to that. The first thing that I want to mention is the passing of someone that I feel is very important who passed earlier this month. So let's see if we can change mode here. All right, so I am little, and that is probably good for the eyes of most of you. And yes, so the founder of the Little Free Library died earlier this month, earlier in October. For those of you who don't know what the Little Free Library is, I would count it as a type of library. And again, that is what we are talking about as types of libraries in this week. And Yes, he had pancreatic cancer and died at the age of 62, Mr. Todd Bowl. But the little free libraries, and you'll see them throughout the country. And I was just actually at a community center to vote here in Kansas City earlier today, and I saw one at that community center. But they're little boxes, little box displays where people can leave and take uh, books and that sort of thing. I think that people have put things other than books in free libraries as well, little free libraries as well. But they're a relaxed thing. Nobody's collecting information on the people who take items from or put items in those. And they're a good way to just share books with people who may need them but cannot afford them. And so instead of throwing your books out, if you can find out if there is a little free library near you, I would suggest maybe giving old books to the little free library that you can't sell, but that you don't have room for. Please do not throw them out, because there might be somebody who wants it. One man's gift, or one person's gift, I should say, is another. What am I even talking about? One person's trash, I'm sorry, is another person's treasure. So we've got that. And then the second thing that I do want to show you all is going to be, because we're talking again about types of libraries. So I did want to mention I wanted to quickly mention, and some of you may have seen this, let me see if I can find it. Actually, let me pause this video. Sorry. All right, so let's get back to where we were. And this just happened again this month, or I keep saying this month. By the time most of y'all see this, it will be November. So this happened in October. Just like the gentleman who founded Little Free Library passed away in October, this incident happened in October. And this is, so what had happened here? And so this is kind of a case study. I mean, not a case study, but this is kind of a situation that I wanted to share because this makes things a little relevant for this week when we're talking about little free, little types, different types. It's been a long day, folks. Types of libraries. So law libraries are, of course, a type of library. And what happened here is that a gentleman who was an African American, or actually I think he's Afro-Latino, but a gentleman who was racially of African origin and was a library science student at Catholic University. He had been granted access to study at the law library at Catholic University. However, he is not a law student. Again, he's a library science student, and the library employee that was on duty at this time she is not a librarian. She is a library employee who is a law student, but she's employed by that law library. And she called the cops on this gentleman because he wasn't a law student, and she hadn't been informed by management that library science students were indeed allowed to use this law library in order to study. And so she says in the video that she doesn't like the guy's attitude, and he's not just leaving because she tells him to leave because she doesn't know he has the right to be there. So she calls the cops, not because he was breaking the law, but because it would be one thing if he were trespassing. But given what she says in the video, it sounds like she actually calls the cops because he is going back and forth with her and she has lost patience with it. So a few things with that. First of all, please do not call the cops on patrons just because you've lost patience with them. And I don't care if the patrons are Black, white, Latino, Asian, or what have you, young, old. Yes, when your patrons are breaking the law, of course, call the cops or call security. And breaking the law can mean a lot of things. It can mean trespassing if that patron does not have the right to be at your library. It can mean disorderly conduct. And disorderly conduct can be slapped on people for a variety of things. But I would say that having a conversation, having a disagreement does not rise to the level of disorderly conduct. And so, yes, please do not call the cops on people who are not actually breaking the law in your library. But also, the other thing that I want to say is when you are a librarian, you have to have communication with the people who work for you. If you're a librarian, you may supervise students, you may supervise paraprofessionals. And one thing that you can't do is not have people knowing who can and cannot be in the library. That's very dangerous. So whenever there is a change in policy saying that someone is allowed to be in the library, that needs to be communicated to all employees. And if not, then situations like this can occur when somebody has the right to be there, but the employee doesn't realize that, and then the employee might escalate it to another level. The patron also might escalate it to another level. And believe me, I know that different people have different opinions on the police, but I am going to say that yes, most of my interactions with police officers outside of my work as a reporter have been overwhelmingly negative. I've been profiled, I have been mistreated, and I've been in my rights most of the time when I have encountered police, and it still hasn't gone well. I used to get stopped quite a bit actually when I was walking home working on my PhD at the University of South Carolina by campus police, who would always make up bogus reasons as to why they were stopping me when I was walking to my apartment at night, including saying that I was walking near bushes when the bushes adorn the sidewalk and I was just walking on the sidewalk. And the last time that I was approached by campus police at the University of South Carolina, the police officer, after I showed him my student ID, said that I looked like I was walking with a purpose. And so, that left me wondering if I'd have been actually better off just walking around aimlessly and if that would have made things a little better. But having said that, yes, I'm definitely a proponent of only using the police when people are breaking the law. So that's one thing that I'm going to leave with you all. And I am going to also say that, of course, you should follow the policies of the library that you work for if you're not the one setting the policies. I do get that. But I'm enough of a hippie to say that if somebody has not been explicitly barred from the library and if somebody is not causing an immediate concern, I do tend to err on the side of just leaving them be if they're not causing a disturbance. So for instance, if I'd have been this young lady that was working at this desk here, this gentleman was apparently not actually causing any sort of disturbance that was interrupting any of the other patrons. So I would have just left it alone and then wrote a note to my supervisor saying, hey, there was somebody in the library that was not a law student last night, and he claimed that he was allowed to be here. He didn't cause any problems, so I didn't ask him to leave. But I would like to know whether or not people who are not law students are actually allowed to be in the library or not. And then let your supervisor answer accordingly. But no, it is one thing, of course, if somebody is causing a disturbance, yes, of course you have to deal with that. But from what I can gather, this gentleman was not causing a disturbance to other patrons. She just objected to him being there because he was not a law student. He was a library science student. And I would, again, personally err on if people are not causing disturbances, don't have them removed. and then follow up on policy with your supervisor. So that's where I am. There is a video for those of you who want to actually see this interaction. There's several places that you can find it. The Root, which is an African American news outlet, was the first to sort of run this story in this video, but it's been placed elsewhere. So this is one link where you can find it, and you can scroll down on whatever link that you find it and review the video here. It's about 7 minutes long. So I'll leave it up to you. That is not required. That is optional. Until next time, class.